Well, in the words of Alan Jones in his last episode on Sky News, we're talking poetry and bugger the rest of it. Except we're not talking about poetry, we're talking about medieval societies, of something that I didn't care about at all, and because I've just been learning a lot about Rome again, I just started thinking, all right, I'm going to go beyond the horizon here, and okay, yeah, life did go on. It was fairly interesting. I don't like the art as much. Mosaics piss me off. Nonetheless, here we are, out of me reading all there is to read on Rome. I'm done with it. I'm going to be moving on to the Byzantines after, and how lazy is this? God, this is the Gen Y way to get learned about things. I was listening to a history podcast. I was listening to a history podcast and it had the same voice of the guy from Walking with Beasts. And so I was a huge fan of that because it gave me a hit of nostalgia of, wow, my childhood was extremely lonely that I remember your voice. But it was about the Byzantines. It was about the Byzantine Empire, otherwise known as the East Roman Empire, which I think they even called themselves. I think they did just call themselves the Roman Empire. But anyway, survived 1,000 years after Rome. There was a couple of reasons for that. The first one was that it was just much better administered than the West Roman Empire. As a result of that, it was much richer. It was a lot more adaptive, even though the Roman Empire was traditionally extremely adaptive in terms of warfare. This one was even more so. It was a lot luckier in terms of geography, and also trade routes. It had a lot of things going for it. But it also, and I think that this is a big one, that actually, I think was kind of understated a lot, is just, look, the Greeks like education, or did. Looking at them now, probably not so much. They seem to just like cement and chips-flavoured kebab flavour. They seem to think that was mad. At least the kid Dimitri at my school did when Thins came out with that. And I was still, to this day, quite disgusted by that, frankly. Kebab flavoured. But one thing that really stuck out, when the West Roman Empire collapsed, where did anybody who was rich/learned go? To the East Roman Empire. The tired-hearted masses all moved over there. The Byzantine Empire's capital, which was Constantinople, was really, really into fostering information within it. It was the first world city, not the first world city, but it was the world city of the Middle Ages. It seemed to weather out the Dark Ages almost unscathed, because all of the information and know-how from Rome, from Ravenna, all of the all of the big cities of the West Roman Empire, all the best people kind of moved over there. And also, because of the trade coming in from China, the trade coming in from Asia Minor, there was a bunch of other different cultures there, and so they were just learning the best of everything and combining it into this one node of information. When it finally fell in the 1400s, what happened to the people that were there? Well, most of them got killed, but they also started, I don't know how they got over there. Maybe boat, maybe they swam in their extremely, I'm guessing, heavy purple silken garbs. Losers. Got eaten by sea monsters, which was the style at the time. Well, go look at any pictures there. It was rife with octopus giants. And then they got over to the West Roman Empire, to Venice and the richer areas, and really, that was the foundations of the Renaissance. A lot of it was a lot of information flowing back from, first off, where it originally resided, which was Rome, went over to Constantinople, came back from Constantinople, went into Venice and Florence, and all of these places, and that spurred on the Renaissance just a century or so later, right? So the whole point of it was, and this is something that was one of the main aims that Brian Tracy was talking about with self-help, which is that you, by doing this, by reading the books that I'm talking about, by getting into that meta habit of reading for an hour a day, what you are doing there is setting not just yourself up for success, but you are setting generations up down the line, because the information that you learn in your life, you are going to pass on to your children. You're going to pass on to the people around you. You accumulating it means that you act as a beacon for other people. And as a result, you start collectively rising the standards of everyone else. This is not a selfish endeavor for people that are constantly saying, oh, so self-obsessed. This is just the remnants of the losers of friendly Geordies. They come over here, they say this stuff all the time. No, just the fact that you are learning these things together. It is a thing where all, like a boat rises the tide. Like a rising tide raises all boats. That's what's happening. You're becoming the tide. You are becoming a beacon of knowledge. And if you know this, because this is what happens, you go to your old social circle, once you've been studying all these things, you will see that what you're offering in comparison to what they're offering, you're blowing them out of the water. It's incredible. Just you being there, you start adding value because you've sucked up so much value. You've become a personal library. And so, like a walking library, moving around. Have you read this? Have you ever heard about that idea? You're able to move those things around while everybody else just sits there saying, you remember get cheap tallyhos in Chinatown, right? That's what you should be striving towards. It's actually a really exciting thought, which is that if you become basically a walking Constantinople, everywhere that you walk, you are bringing light in the dark ages, you know? Like you going to your little parties with all of your friends that are just complete drains. You are a beacon of light. You're the city of Constantinople. You're keeping all of that tradition alive, because the whole point is, people can read those books. Those books can be written, but if nobody reads them, what's the point? Tree falls in the wood and all that. Become the person that reads it. Every time you do, you have just become one of those ancient libraries with the dome and the big light in the center and that classic Gregorian chant might be like, you know? Enlightenment. True enlightenment is that. It is constantly grabbing all of these resources. And what happens as a result, and this is the really interesting thing, is that you start using your natural creativity to mold these ideas together in different ways that fit your certain circumstances. But the thing that I just want to impart upon to you as well is you kind of do have a social duty to it, not just to your family, but anyone that you come across, their life will be improved because you improved your life. Anyway, make sure you sign up to Jordan Shanks, because I've got a bunch of tips on how to do it. And the whole thing is, this is the other thing as well, you improving everyone else's life, they start improving yours. Same thing with Constantinople. The reason that you had people from all walks of life fleeing into there is because it was offering them protection, and it was offering them a better quality of life. It was offering them, because of all the trade that came in there, obviously, and the fact that they still had running sewerage and whatnot, because they knew how to do it. You can be doing the same thing. You can be living in this, I suppose, futuristic utopia amidst where everybody else is like, I made a hut out of my own feces, I did. Yeah, well, there's going to be no problems with that. Yep. Make sure that you sign up to Jordan Shanks. It has a bunch of tidbits of ways that you can become your own personal Constantinople. And I am not just saying that. I truly believe it. I'm really not just doing it just for the paycheck, although I am doing it for the paycheck, but this is just like Constantine, baby. That's the tithe. That's the tithe for coming into my city. You've got to pay your little fee. That's right, your little boat dock. But as a result of doing that, as a result of just coming in, give me your silk garments. All right, there you go. Thank you very much. Here's a bunch of Turkish spices. Thank you. Okay, now I've got both. Off to Italy. That could be you. You could be that boat. Be that trade merchant. Sign up today. I'll see you next time. Like and subscribe.